Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, family. What's going on, man? How y'all feeling? My name is Preacher Moss, host of the SOS the Shout Out Show. Peace and blessings to you and your family. Want to give a shout out to Big Brother Bilal Salahuddin and his queen, Sister Sonia Dalton Salahuddin, celebrating 20 years of marriage. God bless them, man. They are doing amazing. Uh, they are longtime ride or dies of the Shout Out Show. And I'm just happy and pleased as punch that they made another year in their marriage. And all you brothers out here and sisters out here, you might be going through something in your marriages and your relationships. Don't quit. Try to find the best part of that person and deal with the lowest common denominator of what makes you happy and build from there. You can be happy. Don't look at the world and its state of blues and melancholy and think that you don't have the answers to bring yourself joy. So make sure you do that. Again, I'm giving a shout out to my dear brother, and I'm really happy for it. Bilal Salahuddin out of Houston, Texas. Also want to give a shout out and hope I'm feeling better to my brother Rick. Contracted COVID-19. I think he's at the end of his COVID trail there, but when you get it, and alhamdulillah, all praises do have a vaccine so that when people get it now, it's not as severe as it was when it initially came out. That even though you do that, believe me, people, your body's gone through something. So make sure, even though you get a negative test, make sure you rest your body. Your body's been traumatized. So make sure you rest your body. I want to give a shout out to Maxine Cade Esquire. She's not feeling well today. Hopefully she feels better tomorrow. Sister Satana is not with us today. She's going to be taking her mom for some medical treatment. Make sure you keep both of them in your du'as. And my mom is going to be going for cataract surgery. Make sure you keep her in your du'as. So, that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing. I'm asking everybody to keep folks in their du'as. Now, I don't want to say that the world is changing, but it is changing. You can no longer get the Shout Out Show on Twitter anymore unless you get a premium account. Now, all of us remember when Twitter was free. So when you try and use it on StreamYard now, you have to have a premium account. I don't even think that my Twitter is available on a regular account. I have not checked. That's something I will have to do before I make a comment about it. But I have to say that in the last year, there have been a lot of accounts that have been canceled, suspended, or indefinitely suspended, or somehow altered, or just taken away altogether. And it's often about this topic. Now, we're going to talk about this particular topic. And our topic today is getting serious on ceasefire, really. And the reason why I put really behind it is because I'm a bit of a pragmatist, meaning that if you tell me that there's a problem and that we're going to realistically deal with the problem, I'm going to see one or two things in terms of problem solving. I'm even going to see a sincere attitude. You may pass or fail on that, but I'm going to see a sincere effort. Or number two, you're going to tell me and you're going to reveal who you really are. And when I say you're going to reveal who you really are, you're going to cause me to do homework. You're going to cause me to do due diligence about your character and the things that you have said and done in the past. Now, let's be really, really clear. In the election year, don't count on either one of these two people coming up with a solution for a ceasefire. It's not going to happen. And let me tell you the game of why these two will not do it. This is an election year. An election year is not November when the election happens, general election happens. Election year happens 2 years before. So the topic of Gaza and the rights of Palestinians in the Gaza area, their right to just survive, breathe air, brothers and sisters, was problematic. Because when October the 7th happened, a mandate came by. And the mandate was, this is the opportunity to do everything we want to do. Everything we've been wanting to do. Now, let's be real clear. I'm not making this up. So if somehow the Shout Out Show is taken off or YouTube or whatever, I'm not making it up. This is the mandate that came out of the IDF and the people who were dealing with this situation overall. Okay? So I'm not making it up. That's number one. Number two, which is a very, very serious issue, is that there's been an effort to placate us. There's been an effort to numb us to the things that are going around. It's almost like the war on drugs back in the day, black on black crime. There was an effort to numb us to it, to the point where when little Leroy got killed, or this person got killed, or someone got killed in a drive-by shooting, the sense of rage was gone. Emotionally, we were spent. And all we could do was, oh, that's terrible, and get to the funeral. The same thing has been played here on the issue of a ceasefire. Let me tell you why ceasefires don't work. Ceasefires don't work because African Americans are getting shot down in their kitchens. Ceasefires don't work because there's never been an apology to Native Americans from pulling them out of their roots and trying to make them learn white culture. A ceasefire doesn't work because we still have lies about immigrants coming into the United States, 20 million of them, affecting the American economy. It is a lie. But the main problem with a ceasefire is the fact that none of us are going to get to the table. So the ceasefire has become this political football that gets kicked over and over and over and over again. But in this political football, the football scores for or against the will and existence of the Palestinian people. There's no ceasefire, brothers and sisters, because Palestinians will not be invited to the party. They will not be invited to the peace talks. They will have to live with the proxy of other people telling the world what they need, how they should receive it, if they should receive it, and for how long. You know, the beauty of being an African American or an African American Muslim is the one thing about Black folk: we don't forget. We've made a culture of understanding unfairness, inequity, and injustice in the United States. We put it to a good beat. We went through gangster rap. You know what the thing about gangster rap was? It wasn't about these brothers killing one another. They talked about the conditions in which they lived. And these conditions led to violent activity. But they also said the violent activity, it was not a substitute for the fact that they wanted peace. They wanted joy. They wanted success. They wanted to raise their families. And the thing about gangster rap that doesn't get enough credit is they said this is a small part of the community. Nipsey Hussle explained it beautifully. Ice Cube explained it beautifully, that this is a small part of the community. We have a big, wide, robust, loving community, but this part right here is problematic. And that part right there, they said, was about the youth. The reason a ceasefire will not work, really, is basically the fact that the proponents know that the United States and Israel and whatever sucker Muslim country they want to bring in, they know that the dialogue is going to be twisted because they're not going to bring the youth. What do you mean, preach? I'm going to tell you a little hustle. And this is a real cold hustle, so pay attention. In the Black community right now, there's been two things that have happened over the last 25 years. One, we have worked at the disenfranchisement of young African Americans that believe that voting is a part of American rights, is voting as a part of a pathway to things that you want. That's number one. And they put it in their mind that it doesn't have value because they didn't have to really fight for it. See, when you fight for something, or when you work for something, your value system is different about that possession, correct? The thing that's happened now is the American government has given these people things. Right before we had stimulus checks, we gave the youth things and summer jobs, and they needed them at the time, but we didn't talk to them about ownership. We didn't talk to them about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, getting an LLC, opening your own company. Even if it fails, you open your own company. There is a wealth of information and domain knowledge that comes from owning your own business. The thing that's happened is we now understand what the ploy is. So the game works like this. People like myself, people my age, elders over top, these folks know that a ceasefire is not necessary because in the next 10 years, 20 years, we're not going to matter. The issue of Palestinian rights goes back to 1948. So if you were 50 in 1948, you're probably not on this earth anymore. And that plays into the whole scope that there will be not enough people to voice this opinion. There will not be enough people who really understand the scope of this protest. And the ones that who are the most dangerous are the youth, right? Because the youth have longevity. The youth can put 30 years into it if they want to. They can put it 30 years into an argument about Palestinian rights, Palestinian right to exist. They can do it for 30 years. But let me tell you something about that. Any civil rights advocate will tell you, you grow old in the game quickly because you don't see the results that you want to right away. You might see a ceasefire, a quasi ceasefire, not even a ceasefire, but an understanding after the election. And that's a very vague thing because it's not a political football as much as it would be. Now that we have Kamala Harris in the race with Donald Trump, you know, there are going to be other issues, Medicare, there's going to be other issues with her VP. You know, Trump's going to keep lying. And I'm not being mean-spirited. I'm giving you the game as clearly as I can. But I need everyone to understand that these are the facts. These are the facts. All right. So I'm going to take a quick break. I didn't even start the show. I'm going to take a quick break and I'm going to give some love to my shout out family. Be right back. All right, we're back. Let me give a shout out to some love to my shout out family. I want to give a shout out to my main man, Altaf Rashid, better known as Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down, a Canadian envoy from Toronto, Canada. Hope you're doing well, brother. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thanks to see you on the set. Also want to give a shout out to my little brother, JT. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for joining us. Peace and blessings. Shout out to Sister Satana, who's doing the yeoman work of being a good daughter. We miss you. Thank you so much for being on the show. Shout out to Sister Reed. My dear Sister Reed, how you doing? Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you and your family. And shout out to my main man, Eric. Shout out to Mark Kennedy. Shout out to Sister Ika. Shout out to everybody who's on the show. You know who you are. Shout out to the Muslim Master Muhammad family. Peace and blessings. We have a lot going on. What's going on, E? Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let me shout out some of my folks in Instagram land. Got Bilal. Bilal's doing the anniversary today. Sister Fatima. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Simon Khan and Baba. I don't want to kill your names. I'm just going to call you Brother B. Assalamu alaikum. This is Muhammad joined. Tubbs joined. How you doing? I can pronounce Tubbs. Let's see. Love. Okay, Love. I'm just gonna call you Love. Tahajid, Ahmed, how you doing? And Garther joined. Khalid Main joined. Sakina 75 joined. I appreciate all of you. So let me get back to the game. Let me get back to the hustle because, you know, I'm a comedian. But the scope of being the comedian that I am is that I was a social comedian. I did social commentary. Some of it biting, sometimes it was just outright mean. But if you gave me the facts and the facts didn't add up, as they say, the math wasn't math, and I would take it personally. I would take it personally because I felt like you were disrespecting my logic, right? So when we talk about a ceasefire, you are disrespecting my logic. I don't believe you. And you can put in whatever Muslim country that you want to, the United States. Somebody tell you something, stop talking about a ceasefire if you keep selling weapons to Israel. Plain and simple. Israel, stop talking about we're entering a ceasefire if you kill the leader of Hamas, if you keep bombing Gaza. I'm not Palestinian. I'm your worst nightmare. I'm a black man that's aware. I'm a black man that's went through the torture and the nightmare of America to be successful and be able to raise my own and be able to take care of my own and be raised by my own and have my elders who are intact that give me the information that stands up and says, don't play with my logic. It's too far advanced. It's not even me. There are people who are walking around the United States, walking around the world, knowing that a ceasefire is a joke. Why? Why? Because they see the world. If you go outside of the United States, people don't really care too much for the United States. If you come inside the United States, there are some people who don't care for the way that the United States works. We have an understanding and a tacit relationship with the fact that the United States used to stand for something. It used to stand for something. Now it stands for anything, and it falls for anything. And pardon my language, it bends over for anything. And if you bend over for anything, believe me, you're going to catch something in the end. 2 thoughts. 1. America is in love. Portions of America is in love with MAGA, which means make America great again. But what has to be said, and I'm going to attribute this to my main man, Gil Scott-Heron, who talked about, if you ever get to listen to the movie, the song B Movie about Gil Scott-Heron, please listen to Gil Scott-Heron because he talks about elections. The first words out of his words are mandate my ass. That's what he says. And what he means by mandate is during Ronald Reagan's run to become president, they said he had a mandate to be president. He got 20%, not of the American population. He got 20% of the registered voters, 23%, and he said it was a mandate to do whatever they want to. Why am I saying this? Because it's the same thing as Donald Trump saying, I have a mandate. Because if he wins this whatever, this 2025, whatever that thing is, 2025, 5, 10, 15, 20 thing that he's denying, he's going to do. And he's going to franchise this idea that we have a mandate in America to do it. Though probably less than 10% of the American public is going to know about it, damn sure not going to support it. So I don't want to run over too long, but I just want to make a couple points about a ceasefire. In American politics, a ceasefire is an acknowledgement of hostilities, right? It's an acknowledgement of hostilities. It is not peace, brothers and sisters. It is an acknowledgement of hostilities. It is not a declaration of peace. It is not you put down your arms, I put down my arms. Thus, in this space, while people holler for a ceasefire because they believe that's the only thing they can get right now, there will be no peace. And if there's no peace, what's the point of having a ceasefire? If you go out throughout history, there's been ceasefires, but there was no peace. There's been ceasefires, but you still have settlements. There's been ceasefires, but there's been torture. There's been ceasefires, but here in the United States, an American citizen that criticizes a foreign government stands to deal with criminal retribution or punishment for speaking up. The loss of a livelihood, right? The loss of access to public funds for taxes that we pay. The inability to bid on jobs because of a foreign government and a foreign crisis. Now, let me tell you guys some things. Okay. A ceasefire plays into the hands of the criminals and the killers and the psychopaths and the sociopaths and the murderers. Because a ceasefire is retroactive. A ceasefire is nostalgic. I reference MAGA because these people don't want to look forward. They only want to look back. That's what Make America Great Again means, brothers and sisters. They're looking for people to ride up over the horizon and save America because that's what they used to. And that person that rode over the sunset, rode into the plains to save America, they weren't black, they weren't Latino, they weren't diverse. Guess what? They weren't open to anybody else other than saving that white supremacy that's been killing us in the first place. America, by criminal association, has to support what's going on in the Middle East and in terms of the punishment and the cruelty towards Palestinians because they mastered it. They gave people the template to do it all over. And this government did it all over. They did it in sub-Saharan Africa, Asia. They did it in North Korea. They tried to do it in China. Listen, people, they're waiting for people like me to lead this earth. They're waiting for people who are in their 50s and 60s and 70s to quietly return to Allah because the information that I'm giving you right now, it won't hit the streets. They got kids worrying about skinny pants and Molly and you know Trippy Red and Sexy Red and Cardi B and these are probably fine folks. I don't know them, but they're distractions. They are distractions. And now you have these two. And these two understand the merit of shutting the hell up when it comes to resolving the Middle East crisis. Even right now, the game is not the game because the game is not subtle. Now we have hacks. We're trying to figure out a way to pull in Iran into the situation. We're trying to figure out how to pull in the Hezbollah into the situation. You see what I'm talking about, brothers and sisters? The closer we get to peace, the more players we have to bring in to muddle up the peace. And let me tell you something. I went through a situation with a loved one who was accused of something, and they did him wrong, and I had to find everything in my power not to load up a car with 150 bow tie brothers and go take over the city hall. But I'm gonna tell you something. They drugged my loved one through the mud. They disparaged his name. They made it hard for him to work. They did all these things. And when he was found innocent of what he was accused of, it was a year and some change later. And all the people that were there to throw dirt on him, at the beginning, there was no one there. When he walked down, he was innocent. It's the same thing with this ceasefire. By the time you get it, nobody's going to really care, brothers and sisters. The die is already going to be cast. How many settlements are going to be done before we get the ceasefire? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like in a war. If anybody's in the military or spent time in the military, I went to military school. You know, when you have a war, you have what's called advancements. And the rule of war is you don't send in the army. You send in the Marines. The Marines are sent in as a policing action. If you send in the army, it's seen as an act of war. Facts. So they send in the Marines as a policing action, but they send attaches. And these attaches go into these countries like Africa or Asia or whatever they're going into, and they connect and network with the people who they think will be able to help them fight the most effectively. That's number one. But in that space, the run up to actually having a war, everybody does preparation, whether it's digging trenches, whether it's bringing arms, whether it's settling who, you know, which platoon or company is going to be over here. before you get to that point, let's just say you engage in war games. I'm going to throw this out, and I could be totally wrong, but to me, a ceasefire is nothing more than a versionary war game. We're not going to get to peace. America has never gotten to peace. And when it does get to peace, we got to drag it by its heels. And the people who perceive themselves to have power or pathways to power or permission, you got to drag them to the table. And then let's tell the truth. You know, you outside of religious conversions and spiritual stories, people don't like to be dragged to the truth. They don't. Kicking and screaming, they don't. And you're foolish to believe that once they get there and they have this change of heart, that they really learned anything, that they really deep down inside had a sincere engagement with their morals and ethics and just accountability, that they want to do the right thing. I say this, I could be wrong, but when we're talking about ceasefire, the ceasefire is not about people doing the right thing. It's just a break in them doing the wrong thing. And as soon as the ceasefire is broken, as you've witnessed, people go back to the worst representation of themselves. And they'll do it here. So listen, as I get to the wrap, I want to shout out some of the sponsors for the upcoming comedy show at ISNA, Preacher Moss's Muslim Comedy Festival, our third annual Muslim Comedy Festival at Hotel Hilton Anatole in Dallas, Texas. We're going to have great comedians. We got Moses the Comic. We have Athir Yakub. We have Sabine Sadiq. We have Marlon Hill coming all the way from Milwaukee, special guest. The theme of this, brothers and sisters, is that we're going to celebrate Muslim women. Because I didn't want to celebrate Gaza at this point in time. You have to go with the wellspring and the value, right? The wellspring and the value of personality and identity. And I'm like, our women hold us up. So if I'm going to get canceled for celebrating Muslim women, go and cancel me. Go and cancel me. And why would I celebrate Muslim women? Because Muslim women, they produce youth. And that youth that they produce may finally give us peace. All right, everybody. That's my show for today. Again, shout out to Bilal and Sister Sonia Dalton, Salahuddin, doing it big on the anniversary. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of it. Shout out to JT. We got some more people in Instagram. Let me shout them out. Okay, Simon. Okay, thank you, Simon Khan. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Let's see, the Halal Voice. Rakaya joined. Tarif Attar, my main man. Hey, Jordan, I got you. If you guys want the best oils, go to Tarif Attar. They're one of our sponsors for the comedy show. My main man, Ride and Rollers joined. Thank you so much. I'm going to read this comment, then I'm going to go, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace and blessings be upon you, your family, and your show. Keep up the awesome work you do. We need it. I need it. I need it. And I appreciate you guys so much. Listen, that's our show. Be awesome. And in lieu of the show, the upcoming show, Celebrate Muslim Women. Listen, you don't have to come to Dallas to celebrate Muslim women. Start today. Celebrate the sisters, the daughters, the nieces, the grandmothers, the aunties, the mamas, the great-grandmamas. You know why? Because that, brothers and sisters, cracks this whole thing about the ceasefire, because all those people going to kill you with love and peace. Love and peace. That's our show for today. You guys have been amazing. Take care of yourself. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, be back next week. And please keep me and my family in dua. I lost my cousin Frank earlier this month. And, losing cousins is really difficult. You guys have known I've lost a couple cousins during the course of this show. But please keep us in your dua. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for tuning in. You could have been other places, but you spent your time with me. God bless you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.